Check out this headline from Cointelegraph. Will XRP repeat its 70% surge? Price approaches familiar breakout pattern. Now, what makes this particularly interesting and kind of amusing is that for years, Cointelegraph hasn't exactly been the biggest fan of XRP. In fact, they've often been pretty negative toward it. But now that XRP is undeniably crushing it and outperforming most of the crypto space since November, they've suddenly started releasing a few more favorable articles. And honestly, I'm here for it. It's a bit of a turnaround. And, frankly, it's entertaining to watch. But I've got to give them credit here. They're actually onto something. And this aligns perfectly with what I've been saying for years, especially throughout this current market cycle. Here's the pattern I've been pointing out. XRP tends to go through a massive initial rally like the one we saw earlier this year, followed by a cooling off phase. After hitting a new all-time high back on January 16th, we entered a 6-month consolidation period. And guess what? That's exactly what happened in previous cycles too. After that quiet phase, XRP typically takes off again. And now it's playing out just like that again. We've seen another price surge recently, even though there's been a bit of a pullback, but that's not out of the ordinary. One analyst even suggests this recent movement is part of a larger bullish structure. Take this into account. We hit a fresh all-time high just a couple of weeks ago, $3.65. That's a very good sign. And even with the recent dip, it fits perfectly within the historical patterns we've seen before. So yeah, things are looking strong. But real quick, just so it's clear, I don't have any professional financial background. I'm not giving financial advice here. I just enjoy diving into crypto trends and making content for fun. Always do your own research before making any investment moves. That said, let's break this chart down a bit further. What Cointelegraph is referencing is the recent price structure of XRP, which is echoing a bullish fractal we saw earlier this year. Between December and January, XRP was trading inside a falling wedge pattern, but stayed above its 50-day EMA. Eventually, it broke out to the upside in early January, reclaimed its 20-day EMA, the purple line, and exploded with a 70% rally from around $2 up to over $3.39. That's the setup they're talking about, and we might be seeing a very similar one forming right now. So here's the wedge pattern we're looking at. After XRP surged up and peaked around $2.90, this was right around December 2nd, it started to dip. But what happened next? From that point, it blasted upward another 70%. Pretty wild. And let me just emphasize something here. The second major rally, the one that typically comes about 6 months after the first, is historically the big one. I'm talking about what we've seen not just in the last cycle, but the one before that too. And this second pump, it's not just a repeat. It eclipses the first one in terms of dollar gains. It's a beast. So if XRP continues to follow this same historical rhythm, then yeah, it's been awesome watching it go from 49 cents to that recent all-time high of $3.65. But if this pattern plays out again like it has before, that's not the final move, not even close. The biggest fireworks may still be ahead. Now, fast forward to August. XRP is once again forming a falling wedge after another explosive rally. It's currently bouncing off the 50-day EMA and just reclaimed the 20-day EMA as support, exactly what it did during the last breakout. On top of that, the RSI Relative Strength Index has dropped from overbought levels and settled near 50 again. If you're not familiar with RSI, it's a tool that shows whether an asset is overbought or oversold. High RSI, overbought. Low RSI, oversold. Back in early 2024, XRP hit those overbought levels, cooled off, and then surged. And now, we're seeing the same setup again. RSI resets, wedge formation, key EMA support. This script is writing itself at this point. So yeah, we're not done here. This isn't the end. If anything, it looks like XRP is coiling up for another major breakout. The article even mentions that XRP is currently testing the upper boundary of the wedge and could be headed toward $3.75, a new all-time high if it breaks out. That's a potential 20% move from current levels just in the short term. And look, I'll pull up the chart in a moment if you want a better visual of this setup. Now, as for Cointelegraph's peak price projection, I had to laugh because it's surprisingly conservative. But hey, that's Cointelegraph for you. What can I say? Now, most of the rest of this article is fairly reasonable. But check this part out. It's worth noting. They mention that if XRP gets rejected at the top of the wedge pattern, it could delay the breakout. In that case, the price might dip back to retest the 50-day EMA as support. And if it closes below that, then we might be looking at a drop toward the wedge's apex, which lines up with the 200-day EM somewhere around $2.34. Now here's the part that's kind of hilarious to me. And no, I'm not saying XRP is necessarily heading back down that far. If Bitcoin and the rest of the market tanks, then okay, maybe the whole space pulls back. And it won't really be an XRP-specific issue. But based on what I've been seeing lately, most analysts aren't even entertaining the idea of XRP dropping that low. It's just not on their radar. But then get this. Some analysts are forecasting XRP to break slightly above $4 this cycle. Just over $4? Are you kidding me? Think about it. This asset has been artificially suppressed for nearly half a decade. We finally start to see it fly again. The legal cloud is gone. Regulatory clarity in the US is finally here. And now you're telling me the best we can expect is a modest climb above the previous all-time high from 2018? That would be, come on. That would be such a letdown. Borderline insulting, honestly. And I'm not even talking wild moonshot numbers here. The most conservative projections I'm hearing from the analysts I actually trust. $8, $9, maybe even $10. And that's the conservative end of the scale. Many are predicting much higher than that. So when I see this $4 prediction tossed out there like it's something exciting, I can't help but laugh a little. You're trying to tell me Ethereum and a bunch of other altcoins are going to triple, quadruple past their previous highs, but XRP can't even 2x from a nearly decade-old peak. With record interest in a potential spot XRP ETF in the US, more applications submitted to the SEC for XRP than for any other coin, and yet we're supposed to believe there's no demand. Please, that's just ridiculous. Now, to be fair, the article does eventually mention some bullish fundamentals like whale accumulation and the possibility of a Fed rate cut in September that could boost investor appetite. And okay, fine, those are valid points. But those aren't new reasons. XRP has had rock-solid fundamentals for years. It's arguably the most practically useful cryptocurrency out there. So yeah, for anyone wondering if XRP has much higher to go, in my opinion, it's not just possible. It's highly likely. That said, as always, I want to be crystal clear. I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. I'm just a guy who's passionate about this space and enjoys talking crypto for fun. Always do your own research.